Good morning. Before we begin, I just want to give my gratitude to God, the universe, my spirit team, my ancestors, and the spiritual guides who have been guiding me with or without your knowledge. I appreciate you so much. So today I want to talk about something I've been doing without even realizing all these years, and it's something that makes me powerful, because it's something called transmuting energy. And what it basically means is when something negative happens or you feel some negative emotion, I am able to convert it to creativity. And if I think back, I've been doing it for a long time. The last kind of objective example I can give is when I wrote my books. There was so much conflict and anger and pain, and that was also when my depression was really bad and I was having so many problems. It felt like I was under attack from all sides, and I wasn't so strong then as I am now. Now I've sort of become stronger to, going through those situations made me stronger, so even when I'm being attacked, I'm not so vulnerable. But back then it was much more difficult to do that, and the way I dealt with it is by writing my books, and that helped so much, especially because that was the time when anything else I tried to do, I had no motivation, I had no energy, I felt like I couldn't do it, I felt worthless, I felt useless. But when I sat down to write the book, something took over. Like I said, I mentioned before, it was like someone else was writing through me, someone else was taking over, and but doing that and putting my kind of transforming my pain into that kind of creative outlet really, really helped me. And now I can even do it without needing to immediately create, because obviously I do want to create, but sometimes you just need to sit with the emotions, and that's the most difficult part. I think that people more, and including myself, when you're experiencing negative emotion, you want to suppress it, you want to bury it, you push it down, you run after distractions, whatever that means for you. You do everything possible to get away from the pain or the anxiety, or you don't that's human nature, right? You kind of need to get away from the negative emotion, because humans by definition don't want to feel pain. But the problem is when you suppress it, two things happen. One is that those things that you run after become addictions, and they become crutches, and it gets to the point where you can't live without those crutches. And we've talked before how negative addictions basically cut off the link between your higher self and your lower self, which means that you can't ascend. And the whole point is to ascend, to awaken, to reach your highest level of consciousness, so that you don't so that you can help both yourself and humanity as a whole. So the other thing that happens is, usually because you're even when you think about it in a psychological level, when you're suppressing a negative emotion, it just means that it goes somewhere else. It becomes a physical symptom, or it goes onto your body as a physical thing. Like, it could be you may gain fat, or you may retain water in your body. That's one thing that happens. Another thing that can happen is it becomes like you somatize the pain, like, you know, somatic disorder. You, not a disorder, but I'm just saying, like, the same mechanism. It becomes a disorder when it gets so bad that it causes severe functional impairment, but the mechanism is the same. You take that pain that emotional pain becomes a physical pain somewhere in your body. It could be back pain, chronic back pain that has no you have no reason for it. You just, you know, think, oh, it's just back pain, like that. Like, it could be anywhere in the body. It could be a rash. You know, skin and the mind are extremely linked. I've had so many problems with my skin, and that only started to clear up when I started clearing up my mental problems. So it wasn't really related to skin, but this, you could, you know, when you have problems with your mind, it can manifest as skin problems, and that's actually linked to a biological level, physiological level, because both the skin and the brain come from the same, I think it's ectoderm? No, wait. I think it's no. Yeah, ectoderm. Like, there's 3 layers in the embryo, ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. And sorry, my embryology is not that great. It's been a while, but you can look it up. Skin and the brain come from the same. So that kind of explains that link. That's actually knowledge I was given quite a long time ago. So it's really important, basically, to be able to sit with the pain or the anxiety and transmute it so that you don't have those problems, so that you actually deal with the pain. And that's shadow work. Okay. That's basically what shadow work is about, I think. Like, at least part of the shadow work is doing that, to sit with it, not to suppress it, to feel the emotions that you're feeling, which may be anger too. Anger and pain, I believe, are like 2 sides of a coin. I know whenever something's hurt me, you know, I'll be in pain, I'll be sad, but I'll also flip it to anger. Sometimes it flips to anger because the pain is so much that it kind of becomes too much. So I flip it to anger for a while. So it kind of, there are 2 sides of a coin, I believe. So it's hard. It's really, really hard. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm pretty sure that if you're listening, it's because you're willing to do the hard things like I have, and to get to where I'm traveling towards. I wouldn't say I'm there fully yet. I'm still growing, still learning, still doing the shadow work. Actually, yesterday was completely devoted to just giving into my feelings and processing them and integrating the shadow, working on forgiveness. So it's a lot of work. I'm not saying it's not, but I do believe that if you're listening and if you've watched 8 minutes of this video so far, or if you've watched one of my previous videos, then you probably are willing to do that work. And that's why I want to share knowledge that I've been given, so that I can help others do the same things and find that inner peace within themselves. So what you basically need to do is sit with it. You know, when you have an emotion, maybe, you know, you get some bad news, I don't know, maybe you found out your partner was cheating on you. So one important thing is never react, okay? You must always respond, not react. And I think I mentioned that before too, but I'm going to say it again because it's so important. Because when you react, you're basically displacing all of your emotions, all those, and putting it out there in a negative way. And that will come back to you, because you may say things you don't mean, you may hurt their feelings, no matter what they've done to you. You may not react. When you react, you may do it in a way that's disproportional to the actual gravity of the crime. And that may work the other way too. You may be too nice. You may be, you just kind of, you don't stand up for yourself enough because you react in the moment. So it's always good to tell that person, I just need some time to process, to think about what's happened, and I need some time alone so that I can respond appropriately. And if that person is a mature person, they will understand that, they will give you the space. If they're not, if they're immature, I've dealt with a few of those, they will try to pick a fight, they will try to do whatever they need to do to feel good about themselves. Ignore them. It's not your problem. Their inability to act maturely is not your problem. So just say, I can't continue right now. We will pick this up later. Strong boundaries, put your needs across, and you just leave the room. If you need to physically leave the house, you leave the room, do that. Do what you need to do for yourself. Then when you've got a chance, okay, it might not be immediately, you might need to go to work, you might need to do, you may need to temporarily suppress your emotions, which is understandable because you need to do what you need to do. But make sure that you put some time and space for yourself to be alone. And please don't do what people are seen to do in these movies and shows and all, and just go to a bar and start drinking and drowning your sorrows, thinking that's going to fix everything, because it's not. But it's not what you've been conditioned to do. Try not to do that. Try also not to involve a friend straight away, because that's another thing that we're always told to do. Oh, go talk to a friend. Friends are wonderful, but at that moment, if you want to transmute your energy, what you need to really do is sit with yourself, by yourself, in your own thoughts, and without anyone else's opinions coming in. Because a friend, they may be well-meaning, but they bring in their own perspectives, and it's not always a good perspective. It might not always. They might have their own issues that color their perspective. They might have other intentions that you don't know about. And it's important to not become dependent on other people to deal with your emotional stuff. What you really need to do is just spend time with yourself without anyone else's voice interfering with your thoughts and your pain. And just sit with the pain. I know saying the word just makes it feel like it's simple. It's really not. It's so hard, and it's so tempting just to do something, anything to distract yourself. But unfortunately, if you want to master this, then you need to kind of get used to that discomfort, that pain, the pain of sitting with the pain. But trust me, it will pay off in the long run. Even if you don't feel, even if it feels horrible in the moment, it will pay off. I promise you. You will get to a place of peace much sooner than if you run away from it or use addictions to deal with it. And if you need to, nature helps a lot. Being in nature, if you need to get away to be near the ocean or whatever type of nature that you find peaceful, do that. And if you need to just, book a hotel room 2 days away to get away from your whole life until you process, also completely fine. That's actually a really good thing. Change of scenery, just you, nature, connect with nature, meditate in nature, take walks while you think through everything you need to think through. While you feel the pain, cry. Don't stop yourself from crying. This is another thing, especially in a male, especially for men who have been told that you shouldn't cry. I mean, that's the biggest BS ever, because crying is an evolutionary thing, right? It's a process that helps you release negative emotions so you can achieve a place of peace. Being stoic is good for publicly, yes, be stoic. Don't show your emotions in public if you can help it. But privately, you need to cry. You need to release those emotions. If you need to do whatever you need to do to deal with those emotions. And saying not to cry is like the biggest BS ever. I've cried, I've sobbed my heart out, always in private, because I don't believe in showing my emotions in public, because I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm just trying to release my emotions. And when you have someone else, even with my mother, I didn't want to cry because she always you know, it was always about how my tears hurt her, so I never felt comfortable enough to cry in front of her. I actually used to go to the bathroom to cry in private, silently. So that's a whole other mess there. But what I'm saying is, your tears are private, your emotions are private. No one else should really have access to them. They don't need to have access to them. I don't really know what else to say about this topic, this transmuting energy. And yeah, it's always good to journal. You know, if you feel like you want to journal, if you want to feel like, I don't know, singing or writing songs, whatever your branch of creativity might be, even if it's drawing, painting, I don't know, like anything really, whatever you find enjoyable, whatever you find peace in. Even cross stitch. I mean, I find cross stitch to be extremely peaceful. Like it puts me into a place where I can think about hard things, but I can stay calm doing it, because it requires a certain level of focus, but it also frees up your mind to think. It's almost meditative, I think. Anyway, whatever, it doesn't, assuming is another thing for me personally. What else do I do? I used to read as well, but that was more about escapism, so I do less of that now. But sometimes you do just need to, you know, it's okay to just take a little bit of break from your emotions and take a little break away from all of the intensity and just watch an episode or watch a movie, read a book. As long as you don't use it as a way to avoid processing your emotions altogether. Don't get me wrong, that it's not like you are not allowed to do anything that distracts you. That's not what I'm saying at all. I distract myself all the time. What I'm saying is, don't use those distractions as a way to avoid the pain altogether. That's the difference. And especially try to avoid emotional eating, emotional drinking, emotional drugs. Try not to do, I mean, if you want to do drugs, do drugs. I'm not judging. I'm not here to judge. I'm just advising that you don't do it as a way to deal with emotions, as a crutch, where it makes it into an addiction. That's all I'm saying. I think that's it for me. If you have any questions, obviously feel free to reach out. Feel free to send me, you know, comment with a message, with a question or whatever. I'll do my best to answer. But other than that, I have nothing more to say.